All right, guys, good morning. Happy Friday to you. Another Fire Friday. Excited for this one. It is already the 26th of April, if you can believe it. Crazy. So we're jumping into the next quarter. And, the market's been super fun out there. Everybody having fun?
Right.
Right. So no, it's been interesting, and there's been a lot of there's been a lot of upheaval and movement and changes in the industry in general and in different companies out there and that sort of thing. And even in our own company, we've done a lot of cool stuff and brought in some new folks and really getting ready to launch into kind of real estate. I don't know. I don't want to say 2.0 because we're probably on like 14.0 or something at this point, but it just the only constant is that things are always changing. So speaking of changing, rather than have a guest in that I interviewed today, I figured we would have some fun and go over, kind of what you guys are running into out there, any objections that you're getting, any questions that you have. I want you to be prepared to talk to people, right? I mean, that's the name of the game, and we do this all the time in sales, right? So you do what do I say to the seller who says this, right? They want me to reduce my commission. They want me to do X, Y, and Z for them. Or, the buyer that, you know, you're going through the inspection and they come back with an issue and like, okay, how do we reframe this? How do we work through this? We work on those processes. We work on those. How do I do a great needs analysis for a listing presentation for a seller? Those are things in our industry we talk about. What's cool is we're pretty uniquely qualified already through that work to then talk to agents about the opportunity and their business and finding a way to help them be more successful, which is the goal of bringing people here, right? I mean, the great thing is just like selling real estate. When we do that, when we help people buy and sell real estate, we also make money, right? It's part of our profession. When we serve other agents and bring them into a company that's going to help them grow their business and give them a great environment on the EXP model, we also can make money, right? So we refer to it as listing agents instead of listing houses. Okay. So if you go to list a house, just take your, take off mic so you can put it in the chat, whatever you want to do. But if you go to list a house, what are some steps that you're going to do before you go on a listing presentation for a house?
Get
What
to
might
know
you?
the property and the community.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so you're gonna get to know the property. You might, I don't know, you might drive by it. You might look at it online, right? You can do a little research on it. You might Google map that thing. You're gonna look at what the community is, research that, see what the other houses are in the community. So you're gonna get to know it. You're gonna find a little bit about it. What else?
You're going to do a CMA, see what the house is potentially worth.
There you go. Yep, that's great. What else?
Dave, I think a step that a lot of agents miss is pre-qualifying the listing appointment. So you've got to have a conversation with the seller before you go meet with them. And there's some great ones out there. I know Mike and Tom Ferry have great pre-listing qualifying the listing appointment scripts. And I encourage all my agents to practice that and use that, because that way it's basically getting an open book test when you go on the listing appointment.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Good.
Lars stole my thunders. I got to meet Lars this week too. It's great meeting you, man. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Lars stole my thunder. I think there's nothing more important to get that information before you get there. I usually used to send a questionnaire. So I think one big mistake agents make is that they go in with their own agenda and not the seller's agenda. So when you get the information before you walk through the door, you kind of know where to go, what questions you need to ask, so you know what direction to go in the listing presentation. And I'm probably jumping ahead, so I'm sure Dave's getting to it. It's going to be the same thing with buyers going forward. Sorry, Dave.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. That's great. That's great intel. So no, that's exactly right. So all of those things that you do in preparation, right? And there's a lot more. There's a lot more, right? You want to know all about the community, right? I mean, you want to know what's happening in the marketplace in that area for that, general price range for that house type, what's happening in that specific community in the general market and all that kind of stuff, right? So there are a lot of things that you do in preparation so that when you get there, you have a game plan, but it's also you have the ability to direct the conversation through questions, but allow them to take you where they need to go, right? So that's kind of what Frank was mentioning was it's, you know, it's their agenda, right? So it's their agenda on the process because it's what they need to know to be comfortable to hire you, but you're going to guide them to that, you know, to that level, right? So I would say what I find most is that when agents then think about talking to other agents about their business and everything else, they completely get amnesia about what they do every day for a living and all the processes that they normally follow through, right? Like suddenly they're like, what do I say? I don't know what to say to people. I'm like, you talk to people about their business and their, you know, their needs and their process, and you ask good questions, and you know all of that. You do that every day for a living. This is really the same thing. So you know, while the questions might be slightly different, they're very similar and the approach is very similar. So let's go through that a little bit. um, so you have someone that you want to approach. You're like, hey, this is someone I think would really benefit from being here at EXP. I would love them to be, you know, with my group because I'd love to work with them. We think this would be great for them and they'd be great for us. I want to go talk to them and see if they're willing to talk to me about, right? You heard of someone who's thinking about, you know, selling their house, and you want to go approach them about seeing if they would hire you to be the listing agent, right? Well, so that's kind of the same thing. All right, I want to go talk to this agent. So what would you do before you approach that agent? What could you do?
Research the agent from
There you go.
Yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn. Know what they're about, what their interests are. Look at their photos. Get an idea who their family is. You know, do they play golf? What do they do? What's
Yeah.
important to them?
You can also research them on your MLS and see what kind of business they've had in the last year or two.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good. Yeah, both of you guys, right? You got the social side, the personal side, and the business side. So you have an understanding of, you know, what they're about, what makes them tick, what their interests are, where do they spend their time and their focus, and then how much business are they doing? And if you can find out, you know, if you can look at maybe what they've listed or sold in the past 12 months and then the prior 12 months, right? You can set some parameters up and look and see where they've been on the, you know, on some of the contracts on either side. So absolutely on that, you can, and Kathy had the same idea, look at what they're doing in sales. So, right. So you're going to do some of the research. You're going to get an understanding of maybe what their needs could be, right? If you see, you know, so a lot of stuff about family, right? Then if you know someone's family is very important, maybe they got, you know, they got a bunch of kids and their kids play sports and do the whatever and everything else. Well, what are the things we know about this business, right? The busier you get, it's one of those things where you want to get busy. You want to sell a lot of houses. You want to have a lot of work. But at the same token, you know, that means it's more work. It means it's more time. And it's not a 9 to 5 where you get to clock out, right? So that means suddenly, man, if you coached your kids' T-ball league and now you're, you know, all of a sudden you've got, you know, 5 times as many clients as you had before, what's happening to your time, right? Now all of a sudden you're getting an assistant coach and they're coaching all the time because you're like, hey, I'm not going to make it again. I'm not going to make it again. I'm not going to make it again. Right? That's frustrating. And that's where you need to get the right training and systems and understand leverage and all of those things. Right? But that means there's a possibility for someone needing a solution. Right? So you're going in already having, you know, some ideas. When I'm going to ask questions, I want to already know, you know, what the answers might be, right? Good attorney doesn't ask a question that they don't know the answer to. Someone's on the stand, right? So it's kind of the same thing. You want to go in and be like, all right, I kind of know where it's going to go because I want the outcome to be, I want them to be nodding a lot, right? I want them to, you're finding the wound, right? Remember I'll say you're finding the wound and rubbing salt in it, right? You have to find where their pain points are. And that's what we're talking about. So, you know, you can ask really good directed questions in a way that doesn't make them feel like they're getting the Spanish Inquisition, right? You don't want to drill them, right? You want to guide them and ask them good, thought-provoking questions, that kind of stuff. All right, good. So what else might you do? You could do some research on them for their production. You do some research on them for, you know, on their socials and kind of get an understanding. Everything else. What else would you want to know about them? How about what company they're with? Right? Okay. And you may know that, but I mean, I'm just saying it, you want to know what brokerage they're with now, and you want to get an understanding of what that brokerage is like, right? If it's not one that you've been, then you're going to want to know, maybe what's the standard pay plan for agents, of that brokerage? What do they offer? What's their culture like? I mean, you can go on and see, does that brokerage have a social media page? Can you look at it and see, are they posting stuff about the office, doing fun things together? Do they have a vibrant community in there? Is it stodgier? Is it out of date? Do they not have any of those things? And you go to their website and there's not a whole lot. So, what can you find out? And maybe someone else at that brokerage, right? Or someone who came from that brokerage.
But Dave, in that same vein, if you see a brokerage where a lot of people are leaving, there's something going on over there. When you see 2, 3, 4 people leaving from the same office, there's generally some type of cultural problem going on. And so pay attention to what's going on in your area within your own real estate community. Really watch what's going on. Watch any movement, especially in these kinds of times when the markets are changing a little bit, you might tend to see a lot of movement. And when you do, look for the common denominator, because sometimes there's something there that you can uncover.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. That's a great point. If you're looking for who should I be talking to, if you're seeing like, man, a bunch of people just left that office, then you say, well, who do I know over there that's still there? Because it's funny, I found that, there are, you have leaders, you have second level leaders, and then you have followers. And that's just generally the way that it goes. So the leaders are the ones, they go out and do their own thing, regardless of what other people are doing, right? They just go where they might go open their own brokerage, or they might, they left something and went to EXP when it was new, and people thought they were crazy, but they didn't care. They saw the opportunity for them and they go do it. Next level leaders, but they tend to do it for themselves. Like, I'm just going to go out, I'm just doing this. They're not thinking about anything else. The next level leaders, it's not necessarily a lower level of leadership, but they're thinking a little bit more strategically, and they're looking at it, and they're going to be a mover that says, okay, I see that, and I see the opportunity with it. And then they're going to go do something. And then you have a bunch of people that kind of go, man, everyone's going over there. Right. And so it just, I used to, focus on, when I was growing into independent, offices and that sort of thing, was focus on creating the vacuum. Right. And we wanted to make it as loud. It's like putting, straight pipes on your bike, right? You want to make it as loud as possible, right? You want people to know, you don't want anybody to miss you on the highway, right? So you want them all to hear you coming. So that's that thing. We wanted it to be loud and everyone see that people were moving over. And, if one agent moved, it's kind of like if you have one listing, you put up 50 directional signs for your open house, so that it looks like you have a million with your name all over it. And you're like, you're listing all these houses all over the place, and you have one listing, right? Loud pipe save lives. That's right. So, and so, you create that illusion. So one person would move over. We would, I would have tons of pictures of different angles of that person, joining the company, and the video, and a testimonial, and a whatever. And we would just roll those things out slowly over time. Right. So it was like, man, it feels like all these people are moving over, and it was one person. Right. And you get a second one, you're like, another person join. You're like, they just keep on coming. It's only been 2, but you create that illusion. So it's that same thing. But what happens is that the psychology behind this is that people go, man, everyone's going over there. Right. And then they go, I guess I should. It's this weird. It's that you guys have seen the videos, right? Everyone, if you're like a doctor's waiting room, and there are like a couple people that are in on the secret, and then a couple people that are not, and then like they're all sitting there in the waiting room, and then one of them stands up, right? And then the person next to him stands up, and the other person stands up, and they're all in on it. And there's like 4 or 5 people, and they all stand up, and there's a couple people like this, and they're like, they're reading the magazine, and eventually they're like, I guess I should stand up, right? And they stand up. And they don't know why they're standing up. They're doing it because everyone else did it. It's incredible, the psychology behind it. So it works the same with this. When people feel like everyone's going to a certain place or looking at a certain place, that's how movements are start. Go to YouTube after this. Go to YouTube and look up Simon Sinek, Anatomy of a Movement. right? And it's the dancing crazy guy on the side of the hill, and shows that whole process, how you got one guy looks like he's had a few too many drinks on the side of the hill at a concert, just dancing around like a lunatic. And some other guy, right? Some other guy comes over and was like, that looks cool. And second level leader, because he comes over and he starts doing it and he waves a few friends over. And now you got 4 or 5 people in the spot. And there's thousands and thousands of people on the side of the hill. You got 4 or 5 people dancing and they're all dancing the same way. And people look over and like, that's kind of cool. 1 or 2 more come over, and pretty soon the entire hillside, thousands of people all crowd around and they're all doing the same dance, right? Simon does a great job explaining how this works, but that following, right, is really important. So creating that process, but so to Frank's point, right, it's you're looking for people when there's movement out of a brokerage. You can just set up the little funnel, right, and funnel them towards you and towards EXP. Like, hey, it looks like everyone's leaving, man. I don't know what's going to happen with your office, but you should definitely be taking a look at your options, right? Would you want to sit down and talk? You should at least know what they are. Would it be cool if I explained to you why I'm at EXP in case you end up needing to make a move? I really like my brokerage. Well, I'm sure, but what if you show up tomorrow and there's a padlock on the door? Because that's happened before, right? Oh, man, you're right. I guess maybe I should look like, well, what happens if the whole, right now margins are super tight. Brokerages aren't making, a ton of money. What happens if 4 or 5 of the top agents leave like they just did? What do you think that happens to the bottom line? What's going to happen, right? Do you want to wait till you have to leave in a fire sale? I'm not telling you to leave, but might be good to prepare yourself. Might be good to do some research. And, hey, if a bunch of other top producing agents from your office discovered that there was something better out there, are you open to the possibility that there's something better out there for you? Let's see if it's, our office or, our company, our team. So those are the kinds of conversations where you're identifying those, and then you're knowing these are all things that happen prior to you approaching someone to see if they want to talk about EXP. Now, some of the things are precipitous, meeting, you're doing a deal with them and they go, hey, so how you like it over there at EXP? And you're like, I'd love to talk to you about it. Like, tell you what, let's work on the deal and let's set up a time to grab coffee and talk about it together, right? Some of those things happen and that's great. And sometimes it's just a friend of yours and you do whatever. But I would say that I would treat a friend in the business the same way you should treat a friend or family when they become a client, right? Because you don't cut corners when your Aunt Sally hires you to sell her house. You don't show up and like, here's the contract and just go here and here's what we, whatever. You don't shortcut the process with Aunt Sally because she's family and there's familiarity, right? Because Aunt Sally, you want Aunt Sally, she already loves you and would probably refer you to a ton of people, but she doesn't necessarily know how professional you are and how good you are. And if you don't show her, like those are the people you want to like, let me demonstrate to you how amazing I am because you already love me and care about me. Now you're going to be a raving fan about my real estate business and how good I am as a professional. And you're going to go tell everyone about it. Right. So those are the people you try harder with because you also care about them even more than, a client that you just met. I mean, you have a relationship and an ongoing, right. Yeah. There's more there. It's the same thing. If you have a friend that you want to talk to, don't shortcut that process. Don't not research them, right? Have you thought about them in that way as far as, what they might be needing for their real estate career? Like, oh, this is someone we were in the same office together. We've done some other projects together. I've known them for a long time, whatever. I'm going to just call them out of the blue and be like, yo, you got to sit down and talk to me about EXP. Trust me. Right. Well, the same process, do the research, right? Look at their business, go back and look at their Facebook page. Man, because I wasn't looking for it, I never really noticed that they really are into this, or they really, that kind of stuff, or they've been posting these kinds of things lately, right? So give it the same process, These are all things that happen prior to talking to someone. Okay. This is your pre-listing packet, right? This is all your early days stuff that you're doing, preparing to even have the conversation. Now, if you've done all of those things and then you want to approach someone, the level of confidence that you should have in talking to them and knowing how to ask questions should be way up, right?
What you were
So
gonna
let's
witness now over the next several months.
let's go to that step. Okay.
But Dave, before that, I think there's something that's important too, that I think you were saying. When you start talking, and I'm sorry, I had to jump off for a second, somebody called, so I might have missed something. If I'm way out of lane, just let me know. If you start to talk to somebody, you're researching them, understand when you reach out to them, they're going to start researching you. So, you know, what you're putting out there as well, and what message you're putting out there, and don't just talk the talk, but walk the walk. I think that's an important part of it too. So if you really want somebody to follow you, right? Well, we're talking about attraction, right? So if you want somebody to follow you and really buy into what you're saying, they need to believe and find value in what you're saying. If people don't find value in what you're saying, whether you have a relationship with them or not, they're not coming. And the way that they're going to find the value is are you walking the walk? How's it affected your life? They're going to ask you that. You're going to have to tell your story, right? Well, what's it done for you? And you need to be able to project that and see it, not only in with your words, but your actions and what you're putting out there, social, all that kind of stuff. So I just thought I'd throw that in there.
No, that's so good. That's so good. That's a really good point. So, you know, if you go to someone's page, because I do this sometimes, and I get friend requests all the time from, you know, people, and I go and I'm like, I don't really know that person. So I'll go click on their page. I can't even tell they're in real estate, right? I'm like, I don't know how I know this person, right? I don't, are they a realtor? Are they, you know, why would I don't know. I go through there and there's, you know, pictures of puppies. There's a bunch of really cool, cute quotes. There's a bunch of whatever. You can use your personal social media page any way you want to. I'm just telling you, to Frank's point, that if they do go look you up, what are they going to find? Right? Maybe you have a business page. That's great. But on your personal page, you should be posting stuff from your business page, right? Like maybe you go, hey, you know, for me, social media, I'm going to post all my business stuff on my business page, but your contacts and your reputation is all based on your personal page. So you need to be posting the things from your business page, driving people from your personal page. That's where, you know, I've got 5,000 friends on my personal, you know, my business pages might have, you know, they don't have as many people connected to them, right? But I'm putting stuff on there and slowly you get more followers on your business page. But that's, you have to make sure that that stuff is there. And then, you know, is your stuff positive, right? Is it, you know, are you demonstrating how you're applying things, what's happening with your business, how you're serving your clients, how other agents that you're working with that might be in your group or something like that are succeeding, and that you're cheering them on and you're pointing like, wow, all the other people that have gone over with Frank, they're all winning. They're winning. I want to talk to Frank, because people want to be with people that they believe can help them get where they want to go. That's what they're looking for. They want to attach themselves to someone who can help them get there. And it's, and it's, you know, there's, I mentioned this the other day, but you know, it's like everyone's got a sign around their neck that says, make me feel important. Right. And that's, you know, everyone wants to feel important. And they also want to understand what you could do to help them. Everyone is looking to attach themselves. That's why people follow gurus, right? They go to whether it's Tony Robbins or whatever it is, whether it's a business coach or whatever, they're attaching themselves to someone who can make their lives better, who can help them achieve their goals. So if you aren't placed to do that, then, you know, why would they follow you? Why would they follow you? So, but you have to demonstrate that in advance. So I love that, Frank. I love that. Making sure, like, go look at your page, go look at, you know, if they're going to look you up, what are they going to find? What are they going to see? You need to have some social proof, right? Put some evidence out there. So cool. All right. So now you're going to approach them. What might you say to get them to meet up with you?
So I have a different thought about that.
Okay.
And to make it easier, and sorry to keep jumping in, Dave, but I want to have some conversation with you. I think one of the easiest things to do to have a conversation with somebody is look at your own business plan first, look at your organization, and look at the gaps that you have. And think about how you're trying to build your business, right? This is your brokerage. You guys are each kind of building your own little sub brokerage, if that makes sense. What do you want it to look like? And what kind of people do you want in it? And what holes do you have? So if you're working on your level 1, for example, and you have a couple of really good producers, but you don't have any really good influencers to help you build, then maybe that's what you're going to go after. Or vice versa. You have a couple of really good influencers, but they're not really good producers, and we think production attracts. Well, a really good way to kind of get a conversation started is like, hey, Dave, you're calling Dave and, hey, listen, I'm really trying to build something special here. And I'm looking for specific people that have, certain skill sets, and the skill set I'm looking for, you possess. So I would just love the opportunity to sit and talk to you, see, what are you doing with your business? And I would like to tell you about mine and see if we can figure out something, one way or another, can we put something together? But would you be willing to meet me for a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
So in doing that, you're calling them with a purpose. It's not just casting a net for no reason. You're calling them with a specific purpose. You know what you have in mind. Then when you have that conversation, you know exactly what direction you're going in, because you really did call it. It wasn't a bullshit line. Like, you really called them for a reason.
Yeah.
And, and then I can now sit with Dave and be like, Dave, look, this is what we do over here, and this is what it does for me. And I need people to have a lot of influence on other people. And I see what you're doing on social media. I see the following you have. What you've built is awesome. And I need somebody with that kind of skill set. So, I want to have this conversation, Dave, with you. And if it's not you, maybe you can lead me in the right direction. But let's talk about how you've built that, and, how can we put this thing together? And it just becomes a conversation.
Well, the great thing about that, Frank, is that it flips the conversation from
Sending over
asking them
will be the fun.
sorry, muting. From asking them for, like, you're like, hey, I'm approaching them to see if they want to, like, I'm asking you to come join me. And now you're approaching them with an opportunity. I'm offering you something. Hey, I have an opportunity, right? Our group is growing. It's creating opportunities. We need someone who's a leader who can contribute in this way, because it's going to create opportunity for them. So,
I love that. And in this environment right now where things are so uneasy, I think using that language is really good. That's great, Dave, to say that, hey, I have an opportunity for you, which, let's sit down and talk about it.
and then
there's an opportunity out there, however you want to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, but using that word is pretty strong, because people are looking for that right now. They're looking for opportunities.
100%. And then what's great is you can also use the Columbo version of this, right? Where you play dumb, and you go and you're like, hey, I've got an opportunity. I'm looking for a specific person, right? Just like you were saying in your script, I'm looking for a specific person. And I know you know a ton of people out there, and I'm wondering if you might help me identify this person. And like, yeah, of course. And you're like, let me, I'm going to explain to you what the opportunity is. I'm looking for someone who can do this because we've got this going on. We're growing. We've got that. We got someone that I need someone who, who is looking to create a large amount of additional income in their lives, someone who is a leader, someone who wants to help others succeed, right? You're describing what it is. What's that person who's going to fill that gap in your organization? And, if you know of anyone, it'd be great if you could connect us. And they were like, well, I mean, what, could I talk to you about that? Right. And then you're like, yeah, I would love it. I thought you'd be really happy where you were. I didn't know if you would be interested in moving, but yeah, of course. I mean, that's why I came to you, because I want someone just like you.
So,
right?
Dave, an interesting angle. Last week I was at the bowling thing for, in Newcastle County for realtors. And I ran into my old admin at Patterson Schwartz, and she and I were really close. And I literally asked her, as we're sitting there an hour into it, who's unhappy over there? She gave me a list of 2 people that she knows are really unhappy. I've called both of them. I have an appointment with one of them. So maybe leveraging your relationships from your past companies, that might be a nice little angle, because the admins know everything. Everybody
100%.
tells them everything. And if you have a good enough relationship with them, that might be a nice little angle. I just thought I would share that with you, because I have to jump off and get ready for the band. But that worked for me. And I got an appointment out of one conversation. So pretty cool.
Love it, man. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Your allied resources, right? Talking to title companies, mortgage companies, admins inside the office, all that kind of stuff.
Dave, another thought on appointments with realtors is, when you're out there doing transactions, accepted offer with another realtor, you have that whole time to work together very positively, even if it's a tough deal. At the end of that deal, the following week when it closes, this takes a little bit of time, but if you fill up your pipeline, it's not a bad thing. You make a point to invite them out for lunch based on the transaction. After you invite them out for lunch, you don't talk about it yet. You build a relationship with them. You find out their pain in that relationship. And maybe the last 5 minutes of the whole meeting, you actually mentioned a little bit about EXP based on what their pain is. send them off some videos, send them off, you know, a PowerPoint. At that point, the reality is not only does it help to build a relationship, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yep.
Once you build that, and you forward that information off, I think you have a far greater opportunity to build, you know, a relationship where they would come to EXP. And even if they don't come to EXP, the other thing it'll help you with is when you're in competitive offers.
Yeah.
The realtor that's got that listing, and you're coming in close with another one, and he knows he likes you, and that, you know, you'll work well together and responsible and professional, you're probably going to get that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. It's helping, you know, hey, there's a shortage of highly professional and skilled realtors out there. And, you know, I'm being really purposeful about building a network with those that I find fit into that category. Right. So I'd love to buy you. I appreciated the way that you worked on this. You know, we worked on this deal together. It was such a pleasure to work with you. You know, I'd love for us to make sure we got a great relationship. And in return, I'd like to see if there's anything I can do for you. Right. Let me buy coffee. Let's hang out, just get to know each other now that the deal's closed and we're done. High five, you know, whatever. And, you know, creating that network. And I've known people that have gone into now having what, you know, mastermind groups, coffee groups, book clubs, you name it, out of that, where they've done that several times. And then they say, oh, well, do you know, Rory over here? Yeah, Rory's awesome, man. You guys should get together. Tell you what, the three of us, maybe three of us will go, you know, grab a beer, get a coffee, do whatever. And let's meet up. Pretty soon you're like, well, now let's throw Lars into the mix. Let's throw Lars in there. Let's get him over there. Right? Krista, you guys got to meet Krista. Right. Pretty soon you got a big group and you're meeting together and there's that friendship there. I mean, that's great for business. That's really the way it should be in our industry. Why not? A bunch of independent contractors out there, you know, trying to make it all work and serve our clients and everything else. So it's what it should be. It's what it should be. I love it. All right. So what kind of objections are you guys seeing? Is there anything that you're trying to get past or trying to figure out what to do, whether it's an objection when you say, hey, I'd love to, you know, meet up with you and talk about EXP? Are you getting some objections there where you're getting the Heisman and they won't even talk to you? Or are you having some, you know, when you meet with them, talk to me.
Sometimes you get, hey, listen, I'm happy to meet with you for coffee, but I'm not interested in being recruited. So I'm really happy with our brokerage.
Yeah.
I'm very honest with you.
Yeah. No, that's great. And here's the thing, you know, I always tell people, like, you know, depending again on the relationship and everything else, it's like, you know, look, I just want to get to know you. I'm not asking you to join my brokerage, right? You know, it's, hey, you know, we might not want you, right? You know, I want to see if it's a fit. So, you know, there is that kind of approach where, and again, depending on the relationship, depending on, you know, what your style is and everything else like that. I mean, I would laugh. I'd be like, hey, you know, look, I just want to get to know you. Let's, you know, you're jumping into marriage here. Like, I just want to date you a little bit. So that's, you know, that's the kind of thing where they're like, look, I'm not changing brokerages. You're like, cool. Listen, I promise you, I'm not showing up with a pack of paper or my laptop with the join application and everything else like that. I am not trying to, you know, and I'm just, you know, in the medical world, they call that malpractice, right? You know, if I'm like, hey, you need to come in for surgery, and they're like, you haven't even seen me yet, right? So I'm not telling you that you need to leave your brokerage at all, regardless of where you go. I'm not telling you that your current brokerage is not already the best brokerage for you. Right? And my goal is to help you succeed. My goal is to somehow, through our interactions and our relationship, that you improve your business and improve your life. Right? I want you to be able to say that about me. Man, Dave's a great guy. I'm so glad I met him. He's really helped me with my business. He helped me with my thinking, helped me with whatever. I've gotten more balance in my life. I'm selling more houses. I have a clear vision of my goal or where I want to go. Or I just know someone really nice in the industry who's a professional that, you know, that I can go to. Maybe I can go to him for questions or resources. Maybe if I get a deal, you know, like I said, multiple offer situation and that kind of stuff. So that's what we're looking for out of this. Now, if when we're talking and I figure out your business and look for ways that I can help you, I feel like a different brokerage might accelerate your success. I wouldn't be helping you if I didn't mention it, right? But I'm not going to mention that until that's the case, right? So we're only going to talk about different brokerages. Brokerage is only going to be a question that we address if that's a problem in your business. And by problem, meaning, your current one's holding you back, or there's a better opportunity for you somewhere else to accelerate your business. But if that's the case, would you want me to tell you, or should I just keep that secret? Right. So, I mean, if you don't want me to tell you that there's a better opportunity out there that will help you get where you want to go, then, I'll keep my mouth shut. Totally fine. So that to me is the biggest thing. When someone just says like, hey, I'm not changing brokerage. I mean, I would get that all the time when I would call, like, I'm happy where I am. I'm not changing brokerages. I'm like, cool. Like, I'm not calling to, I'm not calling to get you to change brokerages. We got the pyramid scheme thing on there, right? Someone always throws that out. Isn't that a pyramid scheme? I don't, are you guys still hearing that? Is that something that you're getting out there still?
Dave, what I ask them is, do you want to be on the top of the pyramid or the bottom of the pyramid? Because right now you're at the bottom. You're not the one benefiting from ownership or revenue share in your current company. And I think in terms of agent attraction, what I found over the years is that you have to be patient. The people that end up coming may not come right away. In fact, you may not want them to come right away. They may not be ready. The people that want to jump with you right away may not be the people you want in the long run. So the good people, though, if you're patient, and one of your speakers said the fortune is in the follow-up. So just following up with people, when they're ready, they'll come. And I believe, like most of us on this call, that we have our best years ahead of us as a company, and we just have to be patient. This is where the industry is heading. Brick and mortar is in trouble. Brokerages are losing money if they're paying a lot of money in rent. And it sounds like, based on what Leo said this week, we're in a really good position financially going forward, in a turbulent market. So I just encourage people to be patient and nurture those relationships in the meantime. And and don't, I like the term, don't EXP on them, because when you get excited about something, you tend to do that. I know I'm guilty of that. So just be patient, and and when they're ready, they will be signing up. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, I think, again, if you're focused on helping people win, if you're focused on helping them succeed, then, they're going to come back to you, right? If you help them once, the next time they have a need, they're going to come to you. I mean, that's why if you've ever managed an office, like, there's a ton of information out there. There's a ton of places, people can go to get answers and get resources and everything else. But if you give them the answer one time, you now have become Google for them. They will come to you for every question. They will come to you for everything. Like, do you know where the coffee is? I'm like, that's not even a real estate question. Why are you asking me that? So it's, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I'm interrupted.
No, you're good, Sean. Do it.
Back to your question about, this pyramid scheme. Once in a while I get that, and when I come back and say, isn't it awesome that we are, 7 levels of multi-level marketing, that the owner that started this actually cares enough to give us back money. When you look at Remax or you look at Sears and Roebuck, did they give you anything other than one tier of income? So now you have multiple tiers of income. I think it's pretty awesome that they do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's good.
Because everything is multi-level marketing. It's just not talked about.
Right.
Michelin is multi-level marketing. You get paid, but the board of directors, aren't they not getting dividends?
Yeah. It's in every company, right? Someone is getting money from someone else's work.
That's right.
I mean, it's someone's doing the work. And if you follow Kiyosaki or any of those things, right? You look at the quadrants and everything else, like, well, which quadrant do you want to be in? Do you want to be in the quadrant where the only way to make money is your effort? Because, there's no leverage to that. There's no leverage to that. So, you're still a caveman if you're doing that.
Not to mention it's tiring.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can only make, money in relation to the number of hours that you personally can put into your work. And that's it. So you have a ceiling, and so how hard you're willing to work and how long you're willing to work is the most you will ever create a return from, right? And if you ever want to make more, and if you ever want to relax a little and have quality of life, you have to get leverage. And so this is a leverage opportunity like any business. And of course, Gene's napkin math and his presentation about that, where he shows how every company brokerage out there operates and how the cash flow goes, right? You have the corporate company, and then you have, regions
Regionals.
and all that kind of stuff, right? And you go down through all the different layers, and then you have the local offices, and whether there's ownership or leadership in there and everything else. So you go down through all those things, and then that whole group, the corporate office, all the regions, all of those, right, all those other groups going all the way through there, all the local office leadership and everything else like that, none of them sell houses, right? None of them do work that actually gets money back, because the money that they get paid is creating an ecosystem that feeds the agents, right? Like that supports the agents, I should say, right? But the agents are the ones doing all the work, and they're at the bottom.
Yeah, agents and conveyance.
Yeah, right. So you do all the work, and then a chunk of the money from your work goes up to everyone else, right? And that's the way that it works. So, you're in a multi-level system. You're just not getting a piece of it, right? So, right. So it's the exact same thing. So that's where you look at that. So Gene's presentation on that is really good. He's eloquently lays that out. But the bottom line is, if they say, oh, that's that MLM, it's a pyramid scheme, it's everything else, and say, well, let me ask you a question. When you close a sale, how many people get paid? Because if they say 2 or 1 or whatever, like, oh, it's me, or me, whatever, or well, my broker. Like, all right, when you say your broker, how many people are getting a piece of that money? When you close a sale, how many people? Does your manager get some? Right? Does their office owner or whatever? Is there a regional director or a regional owner? Is there a corporate headquarters? How many people work for the corporate headquarters? How many staff does your company have? Right? Because guess what? Where do you think their paychecks are coming from? The companies they don't have a lemonade stand over here where they're making other income from something that's paying those people. Your sale, a chunk of it goes up there, and it gets fractionalized and gets passed out to a bunch of other people. Guess what? We do that over here too, but the people that are making it are the agents. That's pretty cool. All right. Love it. I'm just looking to see if anything else on here. I did see, Kathy, I did see your post on there. Yeah, EXP doesn't allow agents to have their licenses at different companies. A couple of reasons, but one of them is, it's competition. We do business everywhere. So if you're going to have your license with EXP here, then if you have your license in another state, we do business in that state. So we don't want you to do business with someone else, because why would you work with?
Why would you want to?
So that's,
Yeah, I think it's just an excuse for her to have to
it
stay.
usually is. Yeah. Yeah. And then
And
the other thing is too, is because of revenue share, because it's so lucrative, we'll have some people that say, well, hey, I've got a deal over here. Maybe I own my own brokerage or have whatever, and I'm going to operate over here and not pay any company dollar. Right. And, but I want to have my license here so I can refer people in and take advantage of earning revenue share. And that's the other thing is, we don't, if you're going to be in and you're going to be producing, then you got to be contributing, not just taking out.
right.
So, yep. So a couple of things, but yeah, it is usually an excuse, and finding out, well, hey, if EXP is the best company for you in this market, let's talk about how we can also make sure it's the best company for you in the other market where you operate. And then we can find some great agents in that other market where they have their license, who can talk to them about what it's like to be with EXP in that market, what the benefits are, who the broker is, and how great that team is, and the support that's there. And by the way, think about how helpful it is to have the same deal and the same structure and the same platform and use the same tools, because you're only working with one brokerage. I wouldn't want to, I know, like, my wife and I drive the same brand car, which really helps because a lot of buttons are in the same place. But it's different when I go get in her car or go get in my car. She's got an SUV and I got to have a coupe, right? So it's all the stuff is a little bit different and everything's different. It's not as comfortable because it doesn't feel the same, right? So you go work in one, with one office over here and then another brokerage over here. So there's a lot of benefits to obviously being in the same. So that's usually something we can overcome, not always, but it's usually, like you said, it's usually an excuse for something else, and it's convenient. So it's usually good to just keep digging at that point. What else? Give me some other objections, guys.
I love my broker. I'll never leave them.
Yeah, that is one that we hear as well. Definitely hear that one. There's a couple of things and a couple of ways to overcome that. And sometimes, I mean, I've had people say, hey, like I own a vacation, co-own a vacation property with my bro. Like we've been friends forever, our family's friends and all that kind of stuff. And some of those you're just not gonna, I mean, you're not gonna separate them from that. And that's okay. But here's the thing, it's like, well, sometimes there's some tie-ins and it's like, okay, well, there are those tie-ins, but what are they doing for you? Right. And so I really want to break it down and be like, that's awesome. I love the fact that they're taking care of you, like this and that. What are they doing for your business? Because if we're sitting here talking, and if I've done my research and I've asked them a whole lot of questions and everything else like that, and I know that about their business, and I'm like, hey, so, without throwing you never ever would want to talk, bad about or negatively or try to make their broker look bad, because they care about that person, right? So you don't want to go, oh, well, your broker, that broker, they're not doing anything for you, that kind of stuff. You never want to go from a negative, because you're not going to win that way, and they'll start to get defensive, and it's not good for them anyway. However, you can start to go, we're asking about your goals. We're talking about how your business is going. So if we're talking about your business and your business isn't going where you want it to go, then so what kind of plan do you have to work on this? Right? What are you doing to get where you want to go? Right? What kinds of things are you learning? What kind of tools and resources do you have to make that happen in your business? Right? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that you're going to be able to do those things and achieve those things this year? Right? And if they're not getting those things, and you go, well, I mean, it's really good to have a broker that you really like as a person, and they may be a really great professional. But ultimately, I mean, you're an independent contractor, you're a business owner. So you're looking at, where does your business need to be, right? With some emotional detachment, where does your business need to be to make the money you need to make, or to get it to where you want to be, or support your family, or what have you, right? And so getting into those things, don't you need to be where your business is going to achieve at the level you need to achieve, right? And that's where really going through the needs analysis. And sometimes for those things, I'm going to go like, I really love my broker, really don't think I could ever leave them, and everything else. Like, hey, I totally appreciate that. Tell you what, let's table the idea of you changing brokerages right now. Right? I don't even want, that's not my objective. My objective is to help you. Can we talk about your business? Right? Then I'm going to do my 4 Ps, right? I'm going to ask all the questions and find everything out. And then I'm going to find out where they're trying to go and what they're struggling with and what the roadblocks are, and all of the pain points and everything else. Then we're going to talk about their personal goals and what they're trying to achieve, and why doing the professional goals is important, right? What are you trying to build? What about your retirement? What about paying for your kids' college or their weddings, or, your own retirement, or your dream car, house, whatever it is, right? Creating leverage in your life, getting time back, and all that kind of stuff. All of those things that you want to accomplish, that, building your business helps you get to, right? Why is building your business important? Well, it's this. Well, let me ask you a question. If this professional stuff over here for your business doesn't happen, is that going to happen in your life over there on the personal side? And the answer is no. So can I ask you a question? How important is it to you to make those things happen in your business? I mean, do you have an alternate way to make those things happen in your life? No. Okay. So how long have you been in this situation? Right? For a while. Okay. So you've had the partnership you've had, and you're not moving forward to get where you want to go. So if you keep doing what you're doing, are you likely to get the outcome that you need in your life that's really important to you? No. Okay. Right. You can see where I'm going with this, right? So we're taking them through that situation and say, okay, so do you think that you have all of the information, all of the support, and all of the resources that you need to achieve those things? and you're just flat out not doing it. Are you the problem? Right? And so everything you need, you have all the resources you need to achieve it. And if they are the problem, you go, all right, well, do you have any accountability? Is anyone pushed? Do they care about you? Care about your broker, but are they caring about you to the level that they won't let you fail? They won't let you keep wallowing in this rut that you're in right now to move you out of it. So there's some things to go through there, but you have to earn the right to have that conversation with them first, right? And you earn that by really understanding their business and really understanding where they're trying to go, right? What are you trying to build? Why are you trying to go there? Once you're there, you've had some pretty deep conversation with them, right? And then you're able to say, all right, so let's talk about this. And there's a gap analysis that I use, and it's kind of your future self. And you look at some of your key areas in your life, right? With your personal relationships and your finances and your business and your health, right? And you look at that and you say, okay, so like let's 10 years from now, if you and I sit down 10 years from now and I say, hey, how's it going? And you're like, oh my gosh, my life is better than I ever could have dreamed that it would be. My life is perfect. It's amazing in every way. Right? It's incredible. I'm like, cool. So what does that look like? Talk to me about your finances. 10 years from now, if your finances are just are absolutely beyond your wildest imaginations as far as what you've been able to achieve in the last 10 years, what does that look like? Right? Great. What about your health? Right? What have you achieved in the last 10 years in your health? What about in your relationships and your family and all that kind of stuff, right? What about your business? What does your business look 10 years from now? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever you want to use, right? And you get that, you write down all those things, right? And then you say, okay, so where are all the gap analysis of where are all those things right now? Right? Where are you right now in those categories? Now, here's where you are right now. Here's where you're trying to get. What needs to happen between now and then so that 10 years from now we're having that conversation, or 5 years from now or whatever, right? What needs to happen? That's the gap. That it was what happens. It's the what do they say on your tombstone? It's the dash. The first number and the last number aren't important. It's the dash that's in the middle that's important, right? That's where all the living takes place. So that's your gap. You're looking at it and saying, here's where you are right now. Here's where you want to be. This is your goal. This is the category that says life is great. Hey, you guys have heard that it was Napoleon Hill shared that the poem, bargain with life for a penny, right? And it turns out you got a penny. I bargained for a penny. I bartered and everything, and I got my penny, and I realized, man, life would have given me anything I wanted, and I only asked for a penny, right? So that's the same thing here. If you could be living that life 5 years from now, if we could figure out what you need to do so that that's the life you're living 5 years from now, grand scheme of things, 5 years isn't that much, right? So, man, 5 years from now, you could be living that. Let's look at what needs to happen. Now, let me ask you a question. Are those things going to happen where you are? How long have you been there? And how far have you come since you've been there? Right? Have you closed the gap? Right? Let's go back to when you started there and where you are now. Now, some people have had a successful launching career during that time, and that's great. Then it's a matter of great. So that got you from there to here. Are they going to get you from here to there? So those are, when you're having the conversations, I think the most important thing is just focusing on helping them succeed. Because I've had conversations where I get to the end of the, conversation about their business and their life and everything else, and they're in a great spot. They have a great, manager or whatever who's really plugged in and helping them and is a really great professional. And they've, I'm like, here's the thing, where you are right now, it sounds like you're getting everything you need. I'd love to work with you. So if at any point that's not the right, ecosystem or community for you or something else like that, we can give you that. I'm looking at are there a few things that are deficient in where you are that maybe we could provide? But ultimately, I'm like, hey, you don't need to change companies to achieve these things. You don't need to. I'd like you to, right? But I'd like to have the opportunity to pour into you on a more regular basis so that we can work together because I really like you and I care about you. But you're going to do this with or without me, which is awesome. And I'm going to be in the front row clapping. And that's kind of that's okay. That's okay. And sometimes just the conversation helps give them direction, and they leave that conversation. Sometimes they've just said, man, this, you really boiled it all down for me, right? I've been kind of marching in this direction, but you really gave me some focus on this. And now I feel like I know where to go. If at any point I feel like where I am isn't helping me stay on that path, then I have to change, right? It's like someone says, like, "Okay, great, I'm gonna stop drinking." All right, well, good. Well, you got to stop hanging out at the bar, right? So if the stuff that they've decided to go do, is not, their environment's not conducive to them doing it, then they've got to change environments. If it is, then you don't need to change environments. Just start doing the stuff that you need to do and use that environment. But if at any point that environment is not helping you get there, right, or not helping you get there as fast as maybe a different environment might, then it's time to make a change. So we're just going to keep in touch. I'm going to remember all their stuff. That's why I always say take notes, because you have a file on them, whether digital or whatever, right? Put it in their contact information, because then you check in on them, right? The fortune's in the follow-up. Hey, how's it going? If they just go, man, if it's like, look, I committed to, losing 20 pounds and, gaining 10 pounds of muscle and running and, doing all the stuff like that. And then 90 days, I call you, hey, how's it going? How's your fitness journey going? And they're like, man, I worked out twice, I started out really good and then I haven't really done it. Right. It's like, man, you might need to get into a different relationship or environment that drive. Are you surrounded by people that are also committed to doing those things, where there's some group accountability and support, and you're surrounded by people that are on the same mission that you're on, right? And so that might be the thing. And they go, man, technically you have everything you need over there, except for the support system to help you stay on track in your business, except for the accountability. I mean, Kyle and I were just talking about the accountability the other day, right? It's like, hey, Kyle knows what to do. Kyle can do it with or without me. It doesn't matter. But, Kyle is looking for additional, accountability, right? Like, hey, I need to push it. I need someone who cares about my success to push, right? And we all need that. And that's really important. So, I mean, that's a thing where, are you in an environment where you have it, is important. So, so we're up at the top of the hour. Guys, you're going to run into all kinds of stuff, and you may already have, if you ever, are not quite sure how to approach someone, or not quite sure how to overcome some objections that you're getting, some things that you're commonly seeing or anything like that. Always please feel free to reach out. And we've got people on here. We've got Lars on here who has, done a lot. In that, as far as talking to agents and doing in the recruiting world and supporting agents in their business and everything else. We've got Frank in our group as well, with a ton of experience doing that, and a bunch of others, right? We have a bunch of people in our group who have been managers, team leaders, recruiters, where they've been in the business of building a business, and that, in those methods and with those conversations. So we got a great group to pull from, for sure.
Yeah, and Dave, anytime any of you need to reach out to one of us, I'll make myself available. Love helping people. Love helping you guys grow your business and your team. So don't hesitate.
That's awesome. Thank you, Lars. I appreciate it. Yeah, so good. We've got an awesome group here, guys. And so if you're struggling, like, bring it here. Don't struggle alone, because you just have to learn. Right? You have to learn, you have to pivot. Just keep your feet moving, keep trying it, keep doing whatever. And the cool thing is, if your approach is always helping people, you can never break it. Right? You might go, I couldn't figure out how to solve their problem. I couldn't figure out how to overcome their objection. I couldn't figure whatever. That's okay if you approach them with kindness and a care about them as a person and as a professional, and helping them succeed. And you ask questions about their business, and you look for ways to help them and support them. They're not going to walk away from that conversation with anything other than more respect for you and gratitude for the fact that you cared about them. That's it. So that'll never hurt you. And down the road, you might be surprised when your phone rings or you get a text message that says, hey, I'd like to talk to you again about EXP, because that's the way they're thinking about you. Right? Awesome, guys. Well, I appreciate it. Have a great weekend. I know the big agent meeting is kicking off now. unless you're watching this on video, you can go to YouTube and watch the rerun of it. But our buddy Frank is on that meeting today, so you can go in and catch him in there. Amy Weaver and a couple of other folks are on there, and I think our Chief Learning Officer, Brian Ellington, is on there as well.
What room is that in?
It's in the big auditorium if you go in EXP World, and it is on YouTube at the EXP YouTube page as well.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
Have a
weekend.
great day.